All right, let's dive into a simple story that honestly holds the entire blueprint for financial freedom. It's called The Fable of the Hourglass, and I think it has the power to completely change the way you think about money. And this quote from Brian Tracy just hits the nail on the head. Financial freedom does not happen by accident. It is the result of deliberate planning and discipline. See, it's not about getting lucky. It's about having a real plan. And that idea is right at the heart of the story we're about to unpack. So let's get into it. Here's Act 1, The Fable of the Hourglass. Okay, so I want you to picture a country, a place that might sound surprisingly familiar to you. In this land, every single person gets an hourglass when they're born. And this isn't just some knickknack. It's literally the most important thing they will ever own. But here's the thing. This isn't an ordinary hourglass filled with sand. Nope, it's filled with these valuable little grains. And those grains are the currency. They're what you trade for food, for a roof over your head, for everything you need to survive. But here's the catch, and it is a big one. To get the grains to fall, you have to shake the hourglass constantly. The second you stop shaking, the grains stop falling. And if the grains stop, well, so does everything else. So everybody shakes, all day, every day. This constant shaking, it's the first major piece of our puzzle. So let's really break down what shaking the hourglass actually means. And here it is, the first big reveal. Shaking the hourglass. What is it really? It's the act of trading your time for money. It's your job. It's the daily grind you go through to earn a living. For most people in this story, this is it. This is their whole world. Shaking the hourglass isn't just their job. It's their survival. It's their life. They're so busy just trying to get by, they never even get a chance to look up and wonder if there's another way. But, not everyone is stuck in that cycle. Some people have found a totally different path, which brings us to our next big idea, owning the fields. See, in this land, there's this whole other group of people. They're playing a completely different game. They're the ones who own the fields where all the food is grown. And because of that, they don't need to shake an hourglass at all. Their wealth comes from somewhere else entirely. So, what does owning fields actually stand for? Well, this is our second key metaphor. It means having assets that generate passive income. Things like stocks, real estate, maybe a business that runs without you having to be there all the time. These are things that create value for you whether you're actively working or not. Okay, so we've got two groups, right? The shakers and the owners. But what if you weren't born an owner? What do you do then? Well, this is where the story gets really interesting. This is the path of planting your grains. And then you have this third kind of person. They get tired of just shaking their hourglass. They look over at the field owners and they realize, hey, I can do that. They make a conscious choice to start growing their own fields. And this is our final and maybe our most important metaphor. Planting your grains is the act of regularly saving and investing your money. It's about taking some of those hard-earned grains and putting them to work so they can grow into something much, much bigger. Now, the process itself sounds pretty simple, but doing it, that's the tough part. First, you have to set aside a few grains every single day, even when you're wiped out. Second, you plant them. Third, and this is the absolute hardest part, you have to wait with a ton of patience and discipline. And finally, you get to start harvesting the results. And that leads us to the whole point of this entire journey, the big payoff, the final act, harvesting your freedom. When they first start planting, it must feel like a total waste of time. I mean, absolutely nothing happens. It's just more work with no immediate reward. But then, after a while, a tiny sprout pops up. Then comes the first small harvest. Then another one, a little bit bigger. You start to build momentum. And then, one day, it happens. The turning point. The harvest from their own fields is finally enough to sustain them. They no longer have to shake the hourglass to survive. It becomes a choice, not a necessity. They've bought back their own time. So let's bring it all home. What are the big takeaways from this powerful little fable? Well, number one, financial freedom isn't some lottery ticket that falls out of the sky. It's built methodically. We've learned that our day job is basically shaking the hourglass, just trading our time for money. But we've also seen that owning assets is like having fields that work for us, creating passive income. The bridge between those two worlds, That's planting your grains, saving and investing, day in and day out. And the secret sauce that makes it all work is just patience and discipline, which eventually lets you harvest your own freedom. Look, this fable isn't offering some kind of secret trick. It's revealing a process. It's a roadmap showing us how to turn our work into assets, one tiny grain at a time. And so, the whole story really boils down to one single crucial question for you. When will you start planting?